My question is actually a dating question. Um, it's so like going on a first date or a second date, like, you talk about how, there should be no pressure, and, it should be fun, and you can go on, like, you don't have to feel like they're the one, or anything like that.
Yeah. You're
But
talking about
on first dates,
in dating,
yeah,
you should enjoy the experience for what it is, right?
enjoy the experience with no pressure whatsoever, but I feel an intense amount of pressure. Um,
Okay, now hold on. I'm gonna stop you there for a
yep.
second, Katherine.
Okay.
We don't even know him yet, right?
Yeah,
And you
the
already
guy.
feel the pressure, right? We don't know the guy yet. And you already feel the
Yeah,
pressure. So let's start there. The pressure's coming from inside.
it is. It's me.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about the pressure. You go out on the date, and then you got this warm body sitting across the table at the restaurant or wherever whatever you do down there. What pressure do you
Mm-hmm.
feel? What's the pressure?
Um, I find I can't relax because, like, while I love to socialize and I find that is great, it's more like the looming sense of pressure of, like, are they going to kiss me, or like get too touchy feely? Maybe, I don't want to do that on a first date.
Oh,
That's
so
just,
the big pressure that you're
yeah,
feeling is there
I
might be some
want.
sort of a physical desire, request,
Intimacy.
move, whatever on his part.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I
And
should
what
preface it by
happens then?
saying there is a history. The preface of it is there is a history of sexual abuse.
Oh,
So
and at what age and how long and by whom?
we don't have to go into too much, but it was my ex. It was the only relationship I've been in. It was 2 years
Oh,
ago, and I feel pretty good now, like, about myself. But
mm,
I haven't experienced a good relationship. I've only got that to go off.
I see.
And I
Okay.
just want to build good boundaries with a man and, fall in love.
Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah.
want.
That's good. That's a good
Yeah.
desire. Well, let me start with this. Um, the fear that you feel,
Mm.
remember I said it's coming from you, and
Yeah.
then because we hadn't met the guy, right? It's coming from you. This is what I was meaning earlier, that we don't really have to be in the presence of somebody to be connected to them. And so the fear that you have is
Mm.
100% legitimate and accurate, in that you just said it. You said my only relationship
Yep.
was abusive. And so what that tells your
Mm-hmm.
brain, because you're exactly right to feel afraid. What that tells your brain is, do the math on this, 100% of men are abusive, because that's true in your experience. 100% of men that you have been around have been this way. So
Mm.
therefore, when you go
I
out
just
on
don't
a
want
date, he's going to be abusive, because all men are,
to.
all the men you've known.
Yeah.
So I want to validate that from the beginning. You're right. Your brain is right. You should be afraid. In fact, you shouldn't even go out, right? Because all men are going to do this to you. So I want you to, first of all, legitimize your fear, because what we do with fear is we will reject it, devalue it. I shouldn't feel this way, kind of go into arguments with it, right?
Mm. I find that
You,
I feel angry. Like, if they get a bit touchy, I find
Yeah.
I'm feeling angry for some reason, and they might have pure intentions, but for some reason I think maybe they're going to try and take advantage.
Yeah. Well,
But I
if
don't
we're
want to feel
right,
that.
no, you don't want to feel that. I understand. But
Mm.
if we're right about what we're formulating here, that 100% of men are going to abuse you, well, then the first touchy feely, that's just a a way to seduce you into how they're going to hurt you, right? So because he's going to hurt you in your
Yeah.
mind, right? But this has to do with the connection with the abuser. And so there's a few things that I don't
Yeah.
think that um, I don't think the only thing you need to do is to rewire your head. I remember when I first went into this field. A very experienced clinician told me one time, "Look, nobody ever worked their problems out sitting on a couch." Even though that's what we go to therapy to work out our problems, right? Well, we do have to sit on the
Yeah.
couch. That's part of it. Right now, we're kind of on the couch, right? We're looking at all this.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to change the math. So you need the insight
Yeah.
to know, and you need to be able, obviously, to talk to yourself. Well, this is this one experience. This was him. It's not everybody. I'm going to take a step, and all that's really, really important. But number two is, I think you've got to get into some really, really safe experiences with men that
Yeah, I haven't had
have,
many of those.
yeah, you haven't had many of those, that have nothing to do with dating and where there's no
Mm.
possibility of a romantic interest. I'm going to say
Mm.
that again. Really, really deep connections with some men where there's no possibility of a romantic interest. Okay.
Okay.
That's how we form our pictures of what any particular kind of group is going to be, what a man's going to be like, what a woman's going to be like, what an authority figure is going to be like, what a friend's going to be like. It comes from our experiences. So, right now, if there's a romantic or a sexual dynamic in it somewhere, which is normal in dating, then it's going to trigger your
Mm.
picture of abuse. What I want to do is I want to get you out of that danger and get you in a good, like a small group, like with a couple of male friends that are safe and it's not going to become unsafe. Like a good male therapist would be very, very good idea, for example. And some other experiences
Mm.
where you normalize and you learn what you, and this is not just what you're going to tell yourself, is your brain is going to learn this unconsciously. Wow, all men aren't going to hurt me. And then you begin to, it begins to change the picture. Now, the next thing I want you to do is I want you to get somewhere and process the pain that's still there. Process the pain that's still there. So it sounds like there's still some ways that he hurt you that I think you need to talk out because the
Shame.
anger. What is that?
Yeah. Anger and shame. Um,
Of course.
Shame over myself. Like I feel like I don't know why, but I just feel a bit disgusting. I don't know why. I tried, look in the mirror. I'm beautiful, but I just don't know why. I just
Because you were,
intimacy freaks me out a bit.
well, of course you feel, you were treated badly. And it's the strangest thing that innocent victims,
Mm.
they're treated badly and they end up feeling like they're bad. It's part of being victimized. It's horrible. And that's got to be
Yeah,
talked out and processed. You're treated like an object, you feel like an object.
yeah.
If you're used, you feel like just a piece of something that can be used and discarded and thrown away. And it's horrible that you were treated
Yeah,
that
and
way.
struggle with boundaries to say, like, if they're getting a bit too close, like to say no
Well,
for some
well,
reason.
and
To
that's,
say the
you know,
word.
I'm going down a list here, right? And so the next thing in my list was, after I want you to process this trauma with somebody. But the next thing is that we can't go outside if we don't have on the proper protection from the
Uh-huh.
elements, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
it joins
God
up
gave
with
you,
boundaries.
oh, good. So God gave you
Mm.
skin. See, our skin's our first layer of protection, right? And
Yeah.
so I'm sitting here and I got my skin on. Well, if I spill, let's say I spill something in with, you know, it's got bacteria in it or whatever, and I spill it on my arm, it's going to be fine because I got boundaries. It's going to protect me. Okay. Well, if you look over here on this
Yeah.
hand, yesterday, I accidentally hit a glass on a table and it cut me, and I got a cut right there. And if I came into contact with something that got through my skin that had a certain kind of bacteria in it,
Mm.
then I could get infected because my boundaries aren't secure. Well, I think
Right.
you would do
True.
really, really well to do some boundaries skills building, learning how to say things like, you know, when, if there's a little bit of a touchy, whatever, that you can say, oh, thank you for that. But, you know, I just I don't feel comfortable when I first meet somebody and holding hands. So don't take it
Yeah.
personally. It's just not something that I like to do. And then you go and talk about the weather. So there's some skills building and some training and some practice. I don't feel comfortable with that. I don't want to do that. So I'm not going to do it. That's a good little three. You can
Mhm.
write down those 3 sentences. So anyway, I got to go to,
No without an explanation.
what's that?
I love that. How you say you can say no without an explanation. You don't have to explain. That's
Sure
going to a
don't.
big. Oh, this is my life story.
No, you don't have to do that. Why don't you feel comfortable with that? You know, that's,
The life
I just
story.
don't. That's all.
Oh, when
That's
they
all I
said,
want to say. That's all I want to say. How's the weather? You don't
yeah.
have to explain it. Okay, I got to go to some other callers. I would love to talk to you for a long time, but I'm going to.
Yeah.
You said you're a member of Boundaries.me. If you, I'm going to let you talk to Albie, and if you have the dating, let's see if you have the dating seminar. And if you don't, then we're going to gift you that. And also, I want to make sure we give to you another webinar that I did called the Restoring Our Brokenness. And that's going to go through a lot of kind of getting through the trauma and pain stuff. And I thank you for your call.